director of Vitra Bathrooms, and I'm super excited to have as a guest of our third part of the Meet the Designer series. He is with us tonight is Terri Pecora, and I think I'm also a little bit nervous. I don't know why, Terri, because I mean, I so much love to talk to you, and there are. I mean, I know that there's a big love and friendship between us, but still I get very excited.
You're always teasing us, Erdem.
Thank you. Thank you. So I got tonight some questions to you. Some of the answers I know, but I also want to know that the others also know all these answers. Maybe also that there are many things I can still learn from you, because as the design director of Vitra, I do much very enjoy to work with the other designers, because it's a learning process also for me. Not only we are creating beautiful products, beautiful bathrooms, but we also learn, and I love learning. So, and then tonight also I'm very excited about this one. So first of all, my first question is that what inspired you to become a designer? Because I think this is your personal journey, and how you decided to become a designer, and also maybe it's a part of it because you've gone through many projects, many different projects, I know. But what projects have you enjoyed working on the most?
Okay. Well, first of all, Erdem, I would like to say that I also really enjoyed working with you, and as I enjoyed working with the whole team at Vitra, because I very much believe that design is definitely a collaboration. It's a
Sure, it's all about
I
collaboration.
bring what I have to the table. Yeah, so I bring my ideas to the table, but I could never do, no designer can do anything without the support of a team and a collaboration. So, you've always been great to work with,
Thank you.
especially on
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how did I get started out as a designer? I grew up in Southern California, and I was very interested in fashion. So well, before that happened, I grew up in Southern California, and at an early age, I was exposed to incredible mid-century architecture, because that's what there is all over the place in Southern
Right.
California. So I remember like going to my friends' houses, my next door neighbors in particular, a family of 9 kids, the coldest, and another friend of mine who lived in an Eichler home. And I would go inside these homes and just be floored away. And I didn't really know it, didn't realize it at the time, but I was so drawn to those environments, modern, clean lines with this indoor, outdoor philosophy of living. I really loved it. So that was always kind of in the back of my mind. And also I spent a lot of time with my parents going around looking at model homes in Southern California. It was a very prominent thing to do. Like, we had all these huge suburban housing developments
Sure.
being built everywhere. And how they would do that, they would put up model homes. And so my dad was a builder, and we would spend our Sundays, the kids hated it, but we would spend our Sundays driving around and looking at the model homes. There would be 3, 4, 5 model homes for each of these suburban tract developments. And I think that really stuck in my skin as well, without realizing it. Then I was studying fashion illustration at Art Center in Pasadena, California. And there I found myself spending a lot of time in the library looking at Italian design magazines. It was just floored me. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. And in particular, I fell across the insert for Memphis Design when it launched from Ettore Sozzas. Yeah.
Wow.
And it just blew my head off. I couldn't believe it. And so I started designing furniture. I didn't know how to design furniture, but I started, and there was a movement going on in early 80s in California of art furniture. So there were two or three art galleries that were kind of promoting design art furniture. And so I started, kind of just fell into that. And then somebody saw one of my designs and recommended I send it to Italy. This was America's first importer of like high design in America.
Right.
And he
Wow.
saw it. Yeah, it was. And
It's
he
a great
said,
story.
oh, he said, I think you should send that to my client, BFA Class. It was a great company. Produced Joe Colombo's pieces and all of the top designers at Ettore Sozzas, Michele De Lucchi, everybody.
All the masters.
I said, okay, I'll do that. So I put all the masters. So I put my drawings in an envelope because there were nothing at that time, not even fax. And I sent it away in an envelope. And then I got this wonderful letter back saying, we love your design. We want to produce it. They gave me this. And so when I went to see it in the fair, it was when the Salone del Mobile was in September. And I went to see it and just madly fell in love with Italy and fell in love with everything. And so I decided to try, I got to stay here. I want to stay here and become a designer. And so I tried to get a job since I didn't have any training, I could not get a job. Nobody gave me a job, even though I had the number of all the most famous architects and everything. So at that time, it was the second year of Domus Academy. No, it was the first year of Domus Academy. And so I went to see that with some people that I met. And I thought, if I go to this school, I can learn how to be a designer. So I went home, I got some money together, and I came back to Italy to do this year's master course at Domus Academy. And then I never went back home. Things started working. I started getting lots of offers to do great projects, and I thought, okay, I'll go home next year, and I'll go home next year, and I'll go home next year, and I just never went home.
Yeah, I think what I hear from you is a great passion on design, because you dedicated your life.
Oh yeah, I love design.
Yes.
I love objects. I love home objects. I don't know why. I think you do too. I mean,
I do understand you very, very well, because I'm the same here. I got also the obsession for all these products. It's the same.
It's really cool is like when I was in Los Angeles, I would drive around and go to all these thrift stores. We had thrift stores everywhere, and it was full of all the masters, Arne Jacobsen chairs, Charles Eames lounge chair with ottoman, Harry Bertoia. My house is filled with all these things that I bought when I was 20 years old, and nobody wanted this stuff.
Yes.
There were a couple of stores that were specializing in these things, like really passionate people who were selling vintage design. And it was just such a cool world. I was totally in love with it. Especially the mid-century masters.
I think that was one of the best era that the design take the roles and created so beautiful things, still inspire us. And I see, okay, we keep on doing new things, but I think the acceleration of creating the things because of after war effect or other things, and also all these masters is huge.
Yeah, I think the whole. I mean, since I've moved to Italy, I've gotten to know much better also the mid-century, more like the 60s phase of great Italian design, which definitely must have been inspired a little bit like by what was happening in America, which in America was inspired by the Bauhaus, of course, so it was, in any case, that from the 50s, 60s, it was just an incredible period. And like you said, it was after the war. There were few designers. The market was completely open. Everything needed to be improved on.
Yeah, everything was new, super new.
Everything was new. So,
like a dream era. But I will talk about also these mid-century effects and influences, because I exactly know that also in the plural collection, it's very much clear and modernized in a way, so that and to make all these things domestic and everything. We will talk about all plural, but before this, maybe we can also talk about how we met each other. So and then how we decided to collaborate with Vitra. So can you talk about this story? Because I think this is also very
Sure.
interesting, and I think it's also not a very conventional way of working with a
No.
company. I mean,
Yeah. No. Well, it's a great story. I wish it happened more often. It was, so we had, I was invited, everybody out there, I was invited to participate in a brainstorming session in Istanbul. What could be better? With, it's like, okay, sure. With 4 or 5 other designers and
right.
architects. And through through a mutual friend of ours, a Turkish designer who lives in Milano. And so we all went to this meeting. We were all staying under the same roof in a really gorgeous house, sharing like the common areas together. And the goal was to brainstorm about what we thought the ideas of the future were for the bathroom. So it was a little bit weird at first. I don't know if you remember that, Erdem. We were
Yeah, I
talking
do remember.
like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was in 2015. That
Yeah,
was five years ago,
yeah,
and I exactly remember how you were. How can I say? You were a little bit surprised, and also
yeah. You had to help all of us because all of a sudden, like even though a lot of us were friends,
yeah,
the idea of being brainstorming together, sharing our ideas as
sketching
professionals,
together, open
sketching
session.
together, like everybody was a little bit cautious about this because
Yes,
we hadn't done that since we were in school, or we only do that with people from our own office where the
sure.
ideas are ours. Here
Yes.
we were kind of exposing ourselves, and you had to mediate for us. You had to like encourage us. And so
That was a super experience
we
also, Terry, for us.
Yeah, it was. And all, I think that we all kind of built on each other's enthusiasm after the first night and eating
Yeah,
together and taking tours through the city. You guys took us around to see things. We started to open up and just be free and play again. And so we started, I remember when I did a particular sketch that I really liked, and I was so happy that you liked it. Just
can
like
I share it
being
with you?
free
Because
again.
I found these images. Can I share it?
Sure. Sure. I would love to see it too. I'm sorry, you guys, it's dark. Can you see me? It's dark here. Echo.
So this is one of these times you were making sketches and showing, and I like it a lot. And you see also Mario is there. He also like
Uh-huh.
it. It looks like.
Right.
Okay, I look a little bit different than now because of the hair and
Uh-huh.
also loss of weight. Um, but I think that was one of the early sketches, and that I
Yeah,
really,
it was. I remember exactly why I made this. You said to everybody, okay, everybody, just try to do some sketches. Think about what would be your favorite bathroom? What would be your ideal bathroom? It doesn't have to be realistic at all. And everybody kept making jokes and laughing and all that, but we did eventually start sketching.
yeah,
And so my favorite bathroom was all about the idea of a place, like a big place, because I like big bathrooms,
right,
where there's a lot of light, where there could be nature, you could be exposed in nature, a place that you could hang out in, a place that you might do your exercising in, your meditation in. So anyway, so these were just some different types of effects that I would have loved to have had in a perfect. And on the bottom, you can see communal bathing because
yeah.
I like spending time in the bathroom with my family. I loved it
Yeah,
when my
that was
children.
actually there was maybe you we don't see it clearly exactly the form of the plural, but we almost see all the basic ideas, all the roots, and all the philosophy of the plural, because it's all about sharing. It's all about creating a domestic atmosphere and everything. And I think that was the essence, and then which has been kept through all the process. And I really enjoyed it so much, so much.
Good.
So that was also, then we end up, as you remember very well, in 2016, we took all these best projects, I mean, best parts of it, like not to say best project, but best typologies of all these designers to make an exhibition. That was like, you created this beautiful set of things, which reminds me, and very poetically, like the center of the house, new center of the house. So to share all these everything in the family within the bathroom. So to come around the table, like in the kitchen islands.
Right.
To be.
Well, I think what was amazing about this, which I would like to share with everyone, is that our weekend, which, you know, it lasted, I guess, 3 nights and 2 full days, something like that. We all had a really great and close time. It was a really wonderful experience. And what surprised us all is that you guys Vitra decided to go forward with this experiment, because I guess you were so happy with, you know, the ideas that we come up with in this brainstorming session were so interesting. So I think that it was a huge, we need to give a huge credit to Vitra as a company to have invested in culture here, because nobody ever thought that by doing an exhibit of our wacky ideas would have ever gone further than just an exhibit. And in any case, Vitra was happy to you know, spend the time, the resources to make this exhibit during the Salone del Mobile, during the 40 Salone. And it really reminded me of my early years in Milano, because in the early years of Milano, companies were so much more experimental, and they were so joyous about just experimenting and pushing forward new philosophies about living and about design. And over the years, you know, with the difficulty of work and competition coming up, companies have become more and more kind of stuck and just copying each other and everybody's doing the same thing. Oh, we want a bed like that because we know that the other company's bed is selling tons.
Yes.
So for Vitra to have wanted to expend resources for this exhibit, which came out really beautiful, I was really impressed. So what they did, I think it's worth mentioning, is Vitra and Erdem contacted a really great model maker in Milano, a studio that works for all the top architects. And all of these projects were turned into semi-realistic, scale 1-to-1 concepts. So it was a real cultural. And my project in particular was around this necessity of being in an environment where you feel really comfortable to be there, where you want to share time with people, where you want to show it off people, and where you could bathe and spend time with each other. So there was you can't see it in this picture, but there was a table which the gray sink is sitting on, but you could sit on that table and you could do your nails while your husband is brushing his teeth and while your daughter is doing something else. And so, and in the piece on the bottom was a foot bath. So there were all kinds of elements in this that were, you know, it was a place for lots of people to be. And some of this also, this idea of being in the middle of the room, was definitely inspired by the trips that you guys took us to the Turkish hammams while we were on our trip. And those beautiful hammams with the central focus, the central area where you get your massages and the sunlight comes beaming in from the ceiling, and it's like amazing wellness feeling.
And I think the sharing, the intimacy was also part of all these experiences.
Definitely.
But, Terry, you know what? I mean, while you were telling me, I remembered back all these days. And I can say that to make a really a good, outstanding collection like Pearl, for sure you need a good designer like you, with a full of creativity, full of passion, as you explained. And thank you for being. But
Thank
also,
you.
I thank you to Vitra, because you also need a big company with a big courage, and then to believe in and to trust in that we can make something differently. We can make something, and then we can change the game, and so on. And also,
Yeah, definitely.
then you need also a big team. Like, I will show also some other pictures. We got some images from the product development team and all these engineers and every work. And then you need a consistency, because I mean, this you cannot use. And then to make it out a product that people can put it in their homes, there's a big engineering and big ideas without losing the soul. So so this is why I think also that during the process of development, that you keep on working. That was incredible. I mean, you keep on working, and then I was tired, but you still say, Erdem, can we do this? Can we do
Yeah.
that? I mean, that was incredible.
Well,
And
I think what's important to say right here, Erdem, is for who is looking and doesn't know. Here we are inside the amazing headquarters of Vitra Product Development, where I was so impressed on my first appointment. I went in and we had this huge team of 20 people. And here's where magic really starts, though, because I mean, when I put something down on paper and design it, I try really hard to imagine what it's going to be like. I try to foresee all the problems, of course.
mhm,
Also, one positive thing about getting older, one positive thing is that you do have so much experience and you can apply all that experience, but you can never get it perfectly right. That's not what design
sure,
is about.
sure,
Design is about putting a concept out and then getting together with the technicians who know how to build it, because I don't know how to maximize, production and all that.
right,
So here we are with the different guys on the production team and women on the production team. And for me, I love this period because a lot of times I had to change my design, which could be seen as a disaster, but it's not a disaster at all. It's like you have to be flexible.
yes,
You go, okay, I can't make it that thin. I have to make it thicker. How am I going to deal with that? Oh, maybe if we make a curve on the bottom of the plane, then we can make it seem thinner, but it'll be thicker anyway. So all of a sudden, all of these really interesting details start to come out that you
sure,
didn't plan on before. And they're
sure,
coming out because it's functional and it's going to make a better product for manufacturing. And I would have never done that on my own. And that's why I love design so much, because design is not like a piece of art at all. Design is a process of collaboration and uh, meeting of ways. And I don't want to say compromise because that sounds negative, but it's
yeah,
about really changing a product, an idea, and creating it together. And something totally new comes out
yeah.
as you're during this process.
It's like understanding each other and then making it much better for everyone, for
Yeah, and
most of the people.
I mean, you guys were really great too. It's all about, like, I had to learn when I came here how to talk to technicians, because at first when I would say, oh, I want it to be like this, they would go, no. And, then what do you do then? So slowly you learn that, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
I'm coming in from outside. I'm telling this guy who has all this experience what I want to do, and I'm walking on his feet. I have to learn to get what I want in a nice way. And those guys are doing the same thing with me, and I think that it's just really, it's so much fun too, especially like with you guys' team. It doesn't always click. It doesn't
sure.
always, it's not always a perfect match. But I just loved working with you people.
Thank you, Terry. I think
Yeah.
it's the same, not only for me or for my team as the designers and the design director of the company, but also everyone is very much open in Vitra to learn new things and to cooperate, because we
Uh-huh.
know that to
Yeah.
solve the problems of today's world, which are very complex, and I mean, it's getting also complex and complex every day. All these ecological problems and
Right.
all these economical things and everything. So so we believe as Vitra in cooperation, and in collective ideas and in doing together. So, and then you were a perfect match in that sense to work together. But what I know also love about the project is about the okay, I mean it's an idea, and the idea is, maybe I can say very briefly, that rather than looking at the wall straight like a vertical way, so how can we orient people to talk to each other and then to communicate more, and so which is like in the bathroom, how we can get more socialized, and that was the basic, very simple idea. But to do this, I mean, it's not easy because we got very much a solid reality like plumbing. So, and then the plumbing should be a certain vertical degrees and everything. And then there are clean waters, dirty waters coming together. And then so, but you wanted to make things like moving in the center of the room, or like putting in the angles and so on, which is a kind of a crazy idea. But you manage with the team, with all these engineers and the technicians, to make it work for almost all plumbing systems.
Right. Well, okay. So I got the good news, the great news from you. One day he called or wrote to me, I can't remember. We really liked your project. We would like to see if we can go forward see if we can turn it into reality. So I'm like, oh, yippee, yippee. And then like, oh, okay, how are we gonna take the spirit of this idea of this central walking around this group of sinks? How are we gonna make that into reality? Because I know that, and we all know that plumbing comes out of the walls mostly.
Right.
So just considering those facts, we realized that, okay, well, if we move these sinks so that they're not just pointing straight onto the wall, if on an angle so that I can like stand here and look at my husband or my boyfriend or my dog or whatever it is, and we're both looking at each other even though we're near the wall, then it could work. So we did that, and then we had to come up, I proposed the idea to you, and luckily the guys on the team, the technicians on the team who handle the plumbing part of the process, idea, come up with a way to make this siphon, which is usually going at 90 degrees to the wall, on an angle, and be flexible enough so that we could make compositions which weren't as rigid as usual. So that was one of the big issues, and they came up with a great idea. And so we have this siphon that's can swivel on different angles.
Yeah.
And
let me show you all these 3 ideas which are here like this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got this flexibility, as you mentioned.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
And the first one, as you remember, is the freestanding siphon, which has got the clean and dirty water together, so it looks like a one column. And
right. So that was for these situations where you get a central grouping of sinks in the middle of a room for like public bathrooms and stuff like that, or even a private home. If you want to, if you're doing a new construction and you can afford to plan ahead, you can put the pipes in the bottom, the tubes in the bottom. And at that point, we came up with this freestanding siphon that will carry both hot, cold, and water waste up and out. So that was the one. And the other one was the siphon station, which is still one of my favorites.
Oh, I know, Terry, I know, because you were so obsessed with the siphon station. But then I understand you one day when I was in a hotel, and then I lay down in a bed and I start to see the ugly siphon details. So then I said, now I understand, Terry.
Yeah, also because we wanted to keep our furniture light in the collection, and we loved the idea of these open counters and all that. And what will ruin it are all those tubes.
Sure.
Plus we had the little, kind of vintage 1950s lights, legs, and everything was beautiful and light. And then all of a sudden, if you get this mess of plumbing behind it. So talking to you guys came up with the idea that, why don't we, because in my experience, the problem was always that the plumber would often, for whatever reason, wouldn't follow the templates that were provided to him by the companies, if they were provided by the companies. Often they weren't. Right. I mean, it happened in my house I got totally messed up in my bathroom in my house. So if it happened to me, it could happen to anyone. So I thought, well, if we force that plumber to install the pipes within a plaque, an orderly plaque, then he can't mess up the water. Well, the cold water won't be over there, and the hot water won't be down there, and it'll all be grouped together in a nice, clean, tidy, pretty plaque. So that's what we did.
Yeah,
that's what siphon station. And then the other view that we see up there is showing the sinks that we're seeing and the dotted line indicates those sinks can be rotated whichever direction they want because that siphon is rotating.
Sure.
Yeah, which was a great invention from our wonderful technical department.
So let's talk about the finally, what is this plural all about, and why it's called plural, and then how it's called, and then can you talk about a little bit this one, and then what was the idea here all about this collection?
Well, I'm really happy with the name that we came up with, as I'm sure you remember how long it took us. The project started out with kind of a quickie name that we all used, which was domesticity. Right. And it was perfect because it explained the idea that this collection really wanted to welcome people into the bathroom. It wanted it to be a place where you feel really comfortable spending time. And why? Because the bathroom is a place where you're intimate with yourself and you're intimate with the people you love and trust. And so why not spend as much time and energy into making it a beautiful place as you should? It's even more than a bedroom, as far as I'm concerned. A bathroom is a really important place to make beautiful because we spend a lot of time there. And if it's beautiful, we're going to feel renewed in there. Like the picture right here I'm seeing. I mean, I would love to spend time in that bathroom with all the natural light. And so we called our project temporarily Domesticity, and we all liked it. But then we decided that wasn't a perfect name for various reasons.
Sure.
And then that took us in a very long process of trying to find the right name, which over numerous brainstorming sessions, finally one day when we were really exhausted at dinner at night, having a glass of wine and having great food in Istanbul, you came up with the idea of plural, because plural is about more than one. Right. It's about duplicity. It's about, different meanings. And I think it's a perfect name. I love it.
Yeah, I also like it because I think it reminds us about these different levels also. I think
exactly.
one of the most beautiful thing is that you got these different levels, you got different colors. I mean, all these things. Can you explain us all these elements that I think we all know from the interior design principles, but we haven't seen that much in the product design. So I think this makes it so unique.
Right, you're right. I forget about that. So one of the really interesting things about Plural Collection, I think, is the way that when we group the elements together, they're being grouped in this kind of layering effect. And a lot of that idea came through, contemporary furniture, like living room tables, like near the sofa and things like that. A lot of what we're seeing in current language is this kind of layering idea of little tables. Well, in the Plural Collection, we have different heights on almost every element. Here you're seeing the floor standing sink layering over the counter. We've got some, I don't know if you've got the pictures in here. Do you have any of here you've got like the console sink with the small table, which can layer under it. Every single sink in our collection, as you know. So we've got this element, which can be layered with another similar element, which is a little bit taller. And it gives it a really contemporary look. It's a very contemporary language for styling. People do it with vases, People do it with small tables. It's just very much part of our language today in this contemporary period. Here we go. There's that was in it. Can you go backwards, Erdem?
Like this or?
No. Oh, sorry. I guess
okay, the other way.
Yeah. So
okay.
Here you see like the freestanding group where every single element is grouped on different layers, but the sinks are all the same height, more or less. They're all ergonomically steady. We didn't just throw these heights together. It was a very long process of.
I think, Terri, none of the forms or shapes are strange or different, or
it feels harmonious.
Yeah, I mean, everything looks very familiar and very harmonious, but yet it is so new, because I mean, the way they come together, as you mentioned, like different layerings and everything, is a totally new concept. So I think this is quite unique. And also, I love the colors you have chosen, because they are so neutral, and whatever colors we pick, we cannot make a mistake. Because, I mean,
exactly.
Even as architects and designers, it might be a nightmare to choose the perfect colors. If you're choosing many things, it's a job, it's a business, it's a lot of
right.
job.
Well, I think that it made a lot of sense too. I mean, we were all clear on the idea that we didn't want to have an all white or an all black bathroom collection, because it's not contemporary. I mean, people, okay, it looks great here, but here we've mixed it with white, we've mixed it with wood, because design today is really about and not, it's very eclectic, right? So here we have this kind of vintage style table, we have contemporary ceramic, we have different colors. We have the yellow tiles. The thing that I liked about our palette that we chose is, and I still really like it, is that I think it's going to be very, very durable in time. It's going to be long lasting. It's very classic. It's very neutral. So then what you can do is you can throw in beautiful colors on the walls. You can throw in beautiful colors with your textiles. You can jazz it up because you've got this very neutral palette. So I also like that. I also love the American walnut that we use. I think it's just gorgeous. Very kind of vintage, and a nice thing about this project too is that when we chose this wood to keep the cost down, and also for the durability with the functional purposes, we chose what do you call it? The laminated wood, not a solid piece, but it's solid wood, but it's pieces put together. So it's a very industrial solution, which I really love. But it's also very elegant and timeless.
Yes, absolutely. And I also love the mirror, because it's with the properties of swivel turn. You can turn it around. So and then
swivel.
Yeah, thank you. So I think it gives a great kind of flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a very it's a little bit of a showpiece, I think, too. It's very sculptural. It has a beautiful sculptural wooden frame around the back of it. So, and then it has this really interesting, it's simple looking, but it's very functional, rotating. So the mirror can be swiveled to left and right, and it can also be swiveled, the mirror itself. So it's like got multiple movement incorporated into it.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Thank you so much. So and then also the next question is about I mean, we are going through strange days. We have gone through strange days, the whole world, the last couple of months. And I want to ask, how did you spend your last few months, during the lockdown, and which is still going, I think, also in Italy, which is also strange days also here in Istanbul still. So, and then also I want to combine it with a little bit with the plural, because I mean, if you were to design plural now, after all these lockdown and everything, would you do anything differently?
As far as the bathroom goes, you mean?
Yes. I mean, as far as the plural goes, like you would say, or you think that it suits very well also for those days?
Okay, so with regard regards to lockdown and where I spent it, I was very fortunate to have spent it at my house in the country. I have a house 1 hour and 15 minutes outside of Milano, going towards Bologna, and it's up in the hills, and it's really isolated in the middle of just fields. And thank heavens I was there with my 2 dogs. I was alone, which was challenging. But at the end of our lockdown lasted it was a very severe lockdown, and it lasted a minimum of 2 months, a little bit over 2 months. And I have to say that it was just an incredibly, for me, because I'm fortunate enough to have been in a nice place, and I'm fortunate that I didn't lose any of my loved ones. It was a really positive and really incredible experience. I'm so thankful for it, because I just think that to have something like this happen where we were forced to slow down, we were forced to not jump in the car or not race down to the bar or to get the coffee or race to the store to get one thing, or, we were forced to stop and confront ourselves and have the time to, and I worked the whole time anyway. It's not like I wasn't working, I was working, but it was just incredible. I mean, the hours passed by so quickly, and everything was so quiet, and I found it, and I had such amazing conversations with my family and my friends, and so many people were so united, that this feeling of all of us being in this together and supporting the people who were fighting against our medical teams and all that, I just think that it was an amazing time for us in the world. And the other thing that was really beautiful to me is I was taking a lot of walks in the fields, and we're up in the hills. So I was seeing day by day the change in the air and the change in
Right.
the atmosphere. It was just astounding. The light was so incredible that everything was glowing. And I really hope that somehow, I don't know how, we can hang on to this somehow. Like, how can we hang on to it? I don't know. That I just hope that it happens somehow. I hope that people try to use their cars less. I hope, personally, I'm trying to use my car less. I'm trying to, like, I've decided I'm going to cut down on my travel. I'm going to try to cut down on my travel. A great thing, I'm sure you agree with this, Erdem.
Yes.
We had a couple of fantastic work meetings during the lockdown with Istanbul. I think companies and people are seeing that it's possible. It's truly possible to move a little bit less. It's to be really efficient through modern technology. We're on it right now, which is great. So I don't know. I hope some of the benefits of it last, and teach all of us, teach the scientists and teach politicians and teach
Yes.
people to, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
No, I absolutely think like you, because I think it was okay. From looking one way, it's super bad. It's super terrible, because I mean, lots of people lost their lives, and also
Yeah.
they had to lockdown. I mean, maybe they are not
Their
lucky as you,
jobs.
as me, jobs and everything. But
Yeah.
besides all this, I mean, I'm very much sorry, and I really feel their pain and their sorrow. But on the other hand, as you exactly said, I mean, we as human, we are moving too much. We are consuming too much. We are and then we are not taking too much care of the sustainability. I mean, okay, companies, some people, some designers, we are fighting for it, but still, if you look at the total, I think there is too much going on. And it was like a meditation time for the whole world, in a way to say. And we take the chance to think for a while. And then I even think about I was always giving the example during the lockdown. I mean, all the animals in zoo, we can maybe get an empathy, because I know you're
Right.
vegan like me. So, and then we are thinking the animals, but also maybe I think I also know some of my friends started to think about the animals. So I mean, if I feel like this, so how will they feel their whole life being in a cage?
Oh
And
my
so
God.
yeah, I think all these things about this sustainability and everything, it's this could, I hope this can be an opportunity, so we can also take it forward after the lockdown, and then we can have the good habits, and then we can go on with it. I hope so.
Well, I think one thing that probably a lot of us realized, or at least thought about, and I've talked about this with different people, different age groups as well, is that, you know, we can, of course, our world is built on consumerism. That's
Sure.
what makes the world go around. So we don't know how to go without that, because what's going to happen if we go without it? But the one thing I think a lot of people realize is that it does matter, like the quality of the things that you buy and you put in front of you. It does matter what you're going to invest your money in, you know, especially like in Italy, for example, because Italy was so hard hit in the early stages of it. You know, there was a big, and there still is a big kind of, I don't want to say nationalistic, but a big feeling of, we got to stick together. We got to start to take care of each other. For example, you know, but I think what it means is not so much nationalistic, but buy quality, buy things that are
Right.
made right, buy things that are made from serious companies who look after their employees, who look after sustainability and try
Right.
to keep up with it. I know that costs a lot, you know, that costs a lot, which is why a lot of times a big brand's products cost more. Of course, it costs less to buy something from a company who isn't following the rules or isn't paying attention. And
Right.
a lot of people tend to say, well, that's not my problem. I don't care. This is cheaper. I'm going to buy it. I don't think that's right. I don't
Right.
think that's correct. I think that we should all, I don't want to preach here, but I think everybody has a responsibility to be a responsible consumer and buy things that are going to last, that are valid, that have good ideas, especially if we're talking about design. They should buy quality and invest in quality, invest in people.
Yes. For
Uh,
us, for the Vitra, it's I mean, design, innovation, and sustainability is always the three pillars, which is
mhm.
very, very important for us. And then we have to think. I mean, not to make the best bathroom in the world, but the best bathroom for the world. So this is
Can
what
you
we
say
should.
that? Can you say that again? I
Yeah, I
didn't.
mean, it's the. I mean, to make the best bathroom in the world is good, but to make the best bathroom for the world is
Oh,
better.
right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, but anyway, I mean, okay, we that was a great. 1 second. Stop share. Okay. So that was a great talk together with you. But I mean, we are coming close to end. I mean, we don't have to end. We can go
Already?
continue to talk with you later. But the live show will be in 10-15 minutes. So one of my final question is going to be about the what is the future of the bathroom. So I mean, okay, we talk about all the sustainability and the current changes in the world and so on. But how do you think that design will change regarding as much as the bathrooms are regarded?
Right. That's a good question. I mean, I definitely feel that people, I'm sure, I would think also after being confined to a home for 2 months, as most people in the world have been, that they've definitely appreciate the value of their home now, their environment, you know, um, especially a place like a bathroom. I mean, I said it before, probably to ask this question, I really believe that the bathroom is a really important place for our well-being, psychological well-being, as well as our physical well-being. And I think it's worth dedicating more space to. For example, I would much rather see a bigger bathroom so you can have space to do, I don't know, your leg lunges and stuff like that,
Right.
than a little bit bigger bedroom where you don't spend that much time, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I do think that the future of the bathroom will see bigger spaces and more dedicated spaces. I think people will be willing to spend more money on
Mm-hmm.
more services, like a special shower, for example, a special light for the bathroom to
Mm-hmm.
create a beautiful mood. I think people will, I believe that will be the direction. And that's been happening slowly over the last several years anyway. So as far as sustainability goes, of course, in the bathroom, the way you can be more sustainable is with water saving, for one thing. For ceramic, luckily ceramic is a very sustainable material. As you know, it's completely recyclable. It's coming from natural products. So it's a very sustainable material. If the company you buy your products from are respecting, the technology for energy saving and all that kind of thing, that's an important thing to consider when you buy your product, so that you're buying from somebody who's investing in energy efficiency, so that when they make your product, they're not going to be ruining the world. So I think that those things are, between water saving and ceramic already being a really good sustainable material, I think that's kind of what I see as far as sustainability goes.
Right. And also in other perspectives, like you think that how the bathrooms will change, not only from the sustainability, but other perspectives?
Well, I think it will become bigger. I think that people are definitely understanding every year that passes, like how great it is to have a beautiful bathroom, and especially even they want to share it with their friends when they come over for dinner. They feel proud because they have a beautiful bathroom and they have a beautiful finishing on the wall. So I think the biggest change in the bathroom coming in the future is that the added value that people are perceiving in that room.
Right.
This size of the bathroom being bigger so you can spend more enjoyable time in it. What else would I think about the bathroom? I mean, more and more, the only way to come up with anything new in this industry now, because there's a lot of competition out there, is to come up with a new idea. And so, which is why it was great working with you guys, because when I came up with a new idea, you embraced it and you took care of it. So, because otherwise, if you don't come up with a product with a new idea, how are you going to,
Right.
There's something of everything out there. So, and that's also a reason why brand grows too. I mean, if you buy it from a brand because that brand is interested in the future and interested in improving, and so that when you buy something from a brand like that, you're kind of investing in your future too, in a certain sense, right?
Right.
I think.
Absolutely. Terri, it was great to work with you. And I'm still happy that because we are still working, we got new projects, so we don't let you go as we try.
I'm happy too. I'm super happy.
We enjoy so much to work with you always.
I have to start to learn Turkish.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
I can imagine, especially for me.
But sure, you can do. So, and then it was also a pleasure for me to talk, and then I learned a lot of things. So I was thinking that I know almost all the answers, but I mean, still there are many things I learned. It was a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Terri, for your time and also sharing your intimacy with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.